Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including 5 products coming soon from Tesla, the Cybertruck's recall and car wash issue, Tesla Semi details, and more, so let's get into it, and a special thanks to Triple 10 for sponsoring a portion of this video. First up today, while electric cars are increasingly becoming more like complicated computers on wheels, beneath all the touchscreens and self-driving technology, the underlying framework is pretty simple. An electric car relies on far fewer moving parts than any conventional ICE vehicle, and as such, should be easier to maintain. Tesla has said this for years, claiming that their car's relative simplicity makes them much cheaper and easier to repair. Some people have always been skeptical about the idea since Tesla is a premium automaker, and that usually is associated with higher repair costs. Now, however, we have data that gives us a look at the whole picture. Consumer Reports released their annual auto surveys for last year, which is based on data collected from a huge sample across the US. Of all the major automakers in the US, Tesla had by far the cheapest average cost to maintain and repair. They said, quote, when comparing cumulative costs by brand for years 1 through 5 and 6 through 10, we found that Tesla had the lowest maintenance costs. At the opposite end of the rankings, several German automakers are clustered as the most expensive brands, namely Audi, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. In the first 5 years of ownership, the average Tesla owner only paid around $580 in maintenance and repair costs. Between 6 to 10 years, as those cars start to get a bit older, those prices creep up to $3,455. That means that in 10 years of car ownership, the average Tesla owner will spend around $4,035 in repairs and maintenance. The next cheapest brand is Buick, whose owners can expect to pay around $4,900 over 10 years. Now, of course, these numbers are just averages and may not reflect your situation exactly. There are plenty of stories online about people needing to have really expensive repairs done on their Teslas, and that's a really unfortunate situation. However, that's more so a problem with cars in general than just with Tesla. Cars are really big, complicated machines, even the electric ones, and driving puts a lot of stress on them. Sometimes that leads to unfortunate problems that require pricey repairs. However, Tesla seems to be the brand best prepared to prevent those problems and fix them cheaply if they do occur. In this survey, Tesla beat all of the legacy automakers like Toyota, Ford, Hyundai, and more. I'd be very curious to see how the repair costs break down on just the electric cars between all of these brands. More and more automakers are introducing and growing their EV lineups, but all of them still have very large fleets of both pre-existing and newly manufactured ICE cars. Those gas vehicles are surely having a major impact on the average cost to repair their cars compared to Tesla, who just makes electric vehicles. Either way, this just goes to show that EVs, like those made by Tesla, aren't just a superior driving experience, but are simply a more cost-effective way to own a vehicle in the long run. Next up today, Tesla had a lot to announce on their earnings call, and a lot of it points to their future. While Tesla is well known at this point as an automaker, Elon made it very clear on their earnings call that their future is AI, self-driving, and robotaxis. Essentially, Tesla detailed a number of upcoming products on their call. On the vehicle side of things, Tesla's plan for some time has been for a $25,000 EV and a robotaxi. Likely, Elon only wanted the robotaxi, but FSD has taken time. With the latest version of FSD, however, Tesla has shifted plans. Internally, Tesla has reportedly stopped all work on their $25,000 car, which was codenamed NV9. But on Tesla's earnings call, they further said, "We have updated our future vehicle lineup to accelerate the launch of new models ahead of our previously communicated start of production in the second half of 2025. At first, this sounded like the robotaxi would be coming very soon, but many actually think this is simply Tesla reworking their current vehicles. They added, "These new vehicles, including more affordable models, will utilize aspects of the next generation platform, as well as aspects of our current platforms, and will be able to be produced on the same manufacturing lines as our current vehicle lineup. This means these new vehicles aren't dependent on a new factory, but also will share a lot of their current platform." Sawyer Merritt's read here is that this first vehicle to come out from this new lineup will simply be the refreshed Model Y. It will bring new features, but also some big platform changes to allow these cars to be produced at less cost on the same vehicle lines. Then down the line, we'll see other vehicles come from this. Tesla did specify that this won't bring as much cost savings though. Quote, "This update may result in achieving less cost reduction than previously expected, but enables us to prudently grow our vehicle volumes in a more CapEx efficient manner during uncertain times. As for that unboxed manufacturing system they have teased for a while, quote, "Our purpose-built robotaxi product will continue to pursue a revolutionary unboxed manufacturing strategy." The word pursue here makes me think that version 1 of the robotaxi may not fully implement this, but we'll have to see. FSD. In any case, it seems like instead of a $25,000 entirely new vehicle, Tesla may be planning to keep bringing down cost on their current best-selling vehicle. Currently, the Model Y starts at $42,990, so they would have to lower its price by $18,000 in time to reach that low $25,000 price point if this is their strategy. Most likely, though, we will see smaller cuts down into the 30,000s, followed by a cheaper vehicle in the long term, even as they focus on their next product, the Robotaxi. The Robotaxi was also called the Cybercab by Elon in this call. That somewhat confirms the design we very well may see here. That product is one thing, but the bigger aspect is the ride-hailing service, and Tesla previewed what this would look like inside of their Tesla app. In theory, this service not only would include their dedicated vehicle, but any customer car who has FSD and puts their car on this network. Most expect this to be a long ways off, but Tesla thinks it's coming around the corner. As for FSD, this is currently a product only offered on Tesla vehicles, but soon that could change, earning Tesla more revenue and giving customers more flexibility, especially if this truly arrives. Reportedly, Tesla is in talks with one major automaker about licensing FSD. They added that in order to truly license this and see it come to fruition, it could take about 3 years, but that is a big development nonetheless. The big advantage Tesla has in this self-driving space is the amount of cars on the road with their hardware collecting data. These cars have a lot of computing power, so one idea Tesla is now throwing around is something along the lines of Amazon Web Services. Elon talked about this on their call, saying, "I think it's analogous to Amazon Web Services, where, people didn't expect that AWS would be the most valuable part of Amazon when it started out as a bookstore. That was on nobody's radar, but they found that they had excess compute because the compute needs would spike to extreme levels for brief periods of the year, and then they had idle compute for the rest of the year. So then what should they do with all that excess compute for the rest of the year?" He added, "It seems like kind of a no-brainer to say, okay, if we've got millions and then tens of millions of vehicles out there where the computers are idle most of the time, then we may as well have them do something useful. Of course, this would need to involve customers opting in and being compensated for it, but it is an interesting idea. Tesla could build their own web services equivalent that utilizes the computing power that they already have out there when it's not in use. That's likely not something coming in 2025, but could be something coming from Tesla in the future." Next up today, if you've been thinking about ways to increase your income while working from anywhere in the world, there has never been a better time to pivot into the tech industry. With the right education, you could be working with huge names like Tesla, Google, or Spotify, and that's where today's sponsor, T7 comes in. T7 is an online education platform offering flexible, beginner-friendly online boot camps with the highest graduation and employment rates in the industry. Their highly regarded technology boot camps admit people from all kinds of backgrounds, guaranteeing a job in tech or your money back. If the program is for you, they offer financing options including installment and success-based plans. They have helped over 1,000 students enter the tech field already, and 87% of graduates were hired in 6 months or less. Through a flexible study format, they can help you build a successful portfolio, and they offer guidance and support to help you reach your goal. Even after graduation, you'll have access to unlimited externship opportunities that will give you experience with real companies. If you're trying to figure out your next career move, try talking to a T7 advisor today. Just click the link in the description below for a free career consultation. It's a great opportunity to talk with a professional about your future. Further down the line of AI stuff, Elon said that Tesla will be able to achieve FSD with or without him, but the next big product for them is something he needs to be there for: Optimus. Of course, this is Elon's take, but Optimus does have a lot of potential. We're seeing many different companies working on their own humanoid robots, and the foundation here is real-world AI. On that front, when asked about how Tesla is using Optimus in their factories, Elon said it could be performing real tasks inside of their factories within the year, and could be something they sell to customers by the end of 2025. That's very exciting because it shows the work going on there, but of course, we have to take that with a large pinch of salt. A truly customer-accessible humanoid robot being available to buy next year at a cost half that of a car seems like a stretch, but we'll have to see. Either way, Tesla has a lot of plans for the future and a lot coming in 2025. It's just not going to be quite as exciting on the surface as many had hoped with the unveil and scale of a $25,000 car. Instead, it may be an updated, cheaper Model Y, followed by a Cybercab if FSD enables it, along with a few internal things. Next up today, while most of Tesla's highly publicized recalls have been for things that were easily solved by software updates, they've just issued a physical recall for every Cybertruck that has been delivered so far. We talked a bit last week about an owner who experienced a rare problem where the metal cover of his accelerator pedal slipped off and wedged into a fully depressed position. This was very alarming, but we were waiting to see how widespread the problem was. In the meantime, Tesla issued a temporary freeze on all Cybertruck deliveries while they investigated behind the scenes. After the investigations, Tesla decided to enact a voluntary recall on all delivered Cybertrucks to address this issue. In the recall, they say, quote, "On affected vehicles, when high force is applied to the pad on the accelerator pedal, the pad may dislodge, which may cause the pedal to become trapped in the interior trim above the pedal." They go on to say that this defect was the result of what they call an unapproved change in the production pipeline. They say an unapproved change introduced lubricant, soap, to aid in the component assembly of the pad onto the accelerator pedal. Residual lubricant reduced the retention of the pad to the pedal. The defect notice that was released by NHTSA gives us an interesting insight into how this problem was spotted and the steps made between discovery and recall. On March 31st, the first customer came to Tesla to report the problem. On April 2nd, Tesla reviewed data from the vehicle and confirmed the car's other systems behaved as intended. The Cybertruck's brakes will override the accelerator, meaning the vehicle can be safely stopped even if the accelerator is held down. On April 3rd, they received their second customer complaint regarding the issue, while the company began tests to recreate the defect. On April 8th, Tesla was able to confirm the first customer's claim, and by April 12th, they completed their assessment and issued a recall. A few days ago, Elon Musk also said that no injuries or accidents were caused by this defect. This recall did give us some rare insight into just how many Cybertrucks Tesla has made so far. The recall says that this defect affects 3,878 vehicles, all of which now have to be brought in for service. Thankfully for those customers, the fix seems to be extremely simple. In this video, we see a technician fixing it in just 35 seconds by drilling and adding a small rivet to the bottom of the pedal. It's still an inconvenience for those drivers, but thankfully only a small one. The hiccup was so small that deliveries have already resumed, and the fix has presumably been incorporated into all trucks coming off the assembly line. One other potential issue owners are finding with the Cybertruck has to do with car wash mode. Now, this seems to be misreported, with people saying going through a car wash in the Cybertruck voids your warranty. In truth, it doesn't void your warranty, but there is an odd thing about this. The manual specifically says failure to put Cybertruck in car wash mode may result in damage, for example, to the charge port or windshield wipers. Damage caused by car washes is not covered by the warranty. It also advises you not to wash the Cybertruck in direct sunlight. So we've now seen some Cybertruck owners put their Cybertruck through a car wash without entering car wash mode. Then their truck proceeds to have problems. This is a very weird and specific thing about the Cybertruck that definitely doesn't make it feel tough, but I wanted to mention it for any owners out there. Make sure to use car wash mode in the Cybertruck. As often happens, especially with the Cybertruck, this is spreading on social media quite a bit as a huge Cybertruck flaw, with many assuming what the problem is. But it is undeniably a weird one. What is going on in a car wash that wouldn't happen when your Cybertruck gets heavily rained on? And why is car wash mode that essential? What is it closing up that can't be closed all of the time? Of course, the simple solution for owners is to ensure that they use car wash mode anytime they wash the Cybertruck, but this also seems like something Tesla should just fix. Otherwise, we will keep seeing people have problems here, and then finding out that it isn't covered by their $100,000 truck's warranty. In other Cybertruck news, the truck's lead engineer, Wes Morrill, has given us some insight into a feature that didn't make it on the final vehicle. To start, GM posted a video online showing off the crab walk feature that is present on their GMC Sierra and Hummer EVs. It allows the back wheels to turn at the same angle as the front wheels and move at slight diagonal angles at very low speeds. It seems to have very little use cases, but it is cool nonetheless, as we can see in this video. In response, Morrill posted on X explaining that they had experimented with having a similar crab walk on the Cybertruck, but ultimately rejected the idea. He said, "We played with this in development, but no matter what we tried, it was a clunky, awkward experience with no real use case. If the wheels could turn 90 degrees and you could actually slide sideways, it would be amazing, but 10 degrees is not enough to be useful in parallel parking, and it's very unintuitive to control." It's very interesting to get further insight into the Cybertruck's development and to learn about a feature that didn't quite make it. The truck currently has a ton of unique features that surely required a lot of experimentation, so I'm curious what else didn't make the cut. Maybe someday we could see an improved crab walk feature make its way to future Tesla vehicles, but for now, this one has been left behind. Next up today, while the rollout of Tesla's semi-fleet has been slow so far, they're actively exploring ways to make those trucks into true long-haul options. Tesla recently submitted an application to the federal government seeking around $100 million in grant funding to build a series of semi-chargers. Tesla was planning to supply $24 million of its own money to build charging infrastructure between Fremont, California, and Laredo, Texas. The Semi currently has a max range of 500 miles, but a lack of charging infrastructure has kept these trucks relatively local. Pepsi uses these trucks to deliver in parts of California, and Tesla uses them to deliver between their Nevada and Fremont factories. Martin Brower, a restaurant supply chain company, has recently started a pilot program using these trucks, and drivers have reported good experiences so far. As these trucks begin to expand even further, it highlights how important reliable charging infrastructure is. Unfortunately for Tesla, their application for semi-charger funding was denied back in January. Despite that setback, Tesla is likely still figuring out how they can move forward with these chargers. Tesla's former VP of Policy and Business Development, Rohan Patel, said that Tesla may be exploring other funding options, or they may try to get a grant during a future round. He also said that certain charging sites along the proposed route are no-brainers, even without funding. It'll be interesting to see how this infrastructure grows and what kinds of financial help Tesla will be getting to make it happen. Perhaps we might see Tesla pursue state-level funding or even front the entire bill for a few early chargers. Once people start to see the benefits of these electric semis, then further funding may open up for them. Electrifying freight transportation is a big step for both Tesla and the economy at large. Hopefully Tesla is able to figure out a way to fund these semi-charging stations, as this growing technology is likely going to make big waves. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. One of the major difficulties in scaling up EVs is the sourcing of critical battery materials. Batteries are made up of a lot of valuable materials like lithium and cobalt that require a lot of heavy mining to extract. Electric vehicles are generally much better for the environment than their ICE counterparts, but this mining process has an undeniable impact. As such, a lot of companies are working tirelessly on recycling old EV batteries so that the precious metals inside can be reused in future batteries. Overall, that's the long-term future vision here. Chinese battery maker CATL has just announced a partnership with one of their EV battery customers, Volvo, to greatly expand battery recycling measures. Volvo is investing heavily into electrification and are planning to be all electric by 2030. Their EV sales have been rising steadily, and their new, more affordable EX30 has pushed EVs to make up 23% of their sales last quarter. Still, that growth is a bit hollow if it doesn't come alongside more sustainable sourcing, and Volvo has clearly recognized that as a necessity. They are aiming to reduce average vehicle emissions by 75% by 2030, and a key way to do that is through the battery. This new partnership with CATL is designed to greatly reduce the number of new materials needed to make a battery. According to the deal, Volvo's suppliers will disassemble used batteries to salvage around 90% of materials, including nickel, cobalt, lithium, and others. CATL will then process and reuse those materials in future EV batteries. That is very exciting news that should lead to cheaper and more sustainable battery technology, and I can't wait to see other automakers take similar steps. A lot of companies are working on developing methods of efficiently recycling battery materials, so we'll have to see how well this particular program pans out. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see the latest from Tesla's earnings call, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.